around
welcome,
it.
guys, to another episode of Mac Yak, number 43 now. So we're getting up there, guys.
Yep.
And actually, we have all six of us on here tonight. That's a change for the better.
The
The
rare
freaking
sight.
miracle.
Yeah, it is actually.
Who am I missing?
Well, actually,
I can't see Groody.
Wait, Grudy is froze in the middle there. So guess what? Meme time, get him. We actually have a picture that we got pre-show that we might. I may have to do a meme on that one. I'm sorry, Jay. I may just have to do that one.
I don't know, man. I mean, what happens pre-show stays pre-show.
This ain't Vegas.
Yeah, it's like
This
Vegas.
ain't Vegas, baby.
Yeah, it is. It's Vegas.
Grudy says his internet Wi-Fi died. So I guess we're going.
Shocker.
Huh?
Well, that's not anything. That's his Wi-Fi.
I guess we could put a sad Mac on him, maybe, or should we just
He'll be
leave
back.
the frozen picture there until he comes back?
Yeah, leave the frozen picture on this.
He just looks very serious.
Right? He looks.
Focus.
Let's see how long he can look terrified.
See how long he can stay still.
Yeah.
That's when one of his spiders escapes. He's like, where did they go?
right.
The new intro is super entertaining, huh?
Oh, we had a new intro?
No,
I
we
wasn't
didn't.
even aware of that.
I guess it's just us talking like this. I don't know.
Oh,
And Grudy being,
We're supposed to know this.
yeah.
yeah, I know. I'm out of the loop, man. Been working my butt off.
So how's everybody been doing this whole week? How you guys been doing?
Overtime. I'm already on overtime, and I still got one more day this week, so
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
that's okay. Yeah, hey, I get an advantage. Like my boss was like, "You got 3 options for tomorrow. You can work tomorrow, and leave whenever you want. You can take the day off, or you can work from home in your pajamas and leave whenever you want." I was like, option number 3.
Okay,
Because hey, I still want a
Pajamas
chance to make
I
some
was
money.
going to say, we don't want to see Rocky in his pajamas, though, so.
Right. Although
Oh, yeah.
we've seen things.
Anybody else?
That Patreon here is always open.
Yeah, we might have to do. You know, we need to do that. We need to make a Patreon-only text channel in our group and get a Patreon
Yeah.
going for Mac.
Oh wait, how? Yeah, we
don't
need a
even have
Patreon.
account.
Huh?
Oh,
Exactly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. One of us needs to make one for Mac Yak.
yeah, you go.
not I.
That's all right.
I vote not me.
Not me. I do all the background work here, so.
I'm just glad to actually be able to breathe again and not be dead and almost dead.
Yeah,
being
that's
sick.
right.
So
Last week you were
Yes.
bad, man. You were close to death.
that was a birthday gift from myself, getting sick and almost dying. So that's fun. Yeah.
Wow! Don't ever give yourself another birthday gift.
Exactly.
Yeah, not doing that
That's
again.
what you get for cramming yourself in a room with 60 other people.
Because you're gonna
This
get
is true.
sick.
This is true.
Oh, all right, guys. So, welcome to tonight's show. Appreciate all you guys showing up tonight. Again, if you know some other people out there, get them in here to watch the show, see what it's like and everything.
And on our Discord.
Yes, and get on our Discord.
And if you have a Twitter, retweet our tweet.
There you go.
And if you don't follow us, Mac Yak Podcast is the Twitter handle.
Yep. Anyways, guys, so let's go ahead and jump into our first topic tonight. The first topic we got tonight is Catalina. Well, it's supposed to drop tomorrow, according to some of the rumors I've been hearing. I know that the Gold Master dropped today for the beta testers. So I'm not sure if it's going to come out tomorrow or maybe even next week sometime, but it is coming out very, very soon. The question is, and we want to ask our fans this too, is will you upgrade from Mojave or will you stick with it? For me personally, okay, I'll start off this little thing right here. For my Mac Pro, I'm leaving it at Mojave. One reason, because there's some 32-bit apps, and we'll get into that later on, that I still want to use. And so on my Mac Pro, I'm sticking there. However, on my MacBook Pro and my 2017 iMac, I am actually upgrading those to Catalina. So that's my plans right there. So what about you there, Jay?
I am staying on Mojave. I was going to downgrade to High Sierra, but that is just such a hassle because there's no compatibility in restoring backups and all that. I'll stick with Mojave, but I'm definitely not upgrading to Catalina. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna put. I already have another SSD. I'm gonna put it in the Mac Pro and play with it at least to get to know it and all that. But I'm not upgrading anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Rocky?
I'm staying on High Sierra.
You haven't even got
I
to
didn't
Mojave.
go to. No, I don't even want to go to Mojave. So yeah, I have no plan to go to Catalina anytime soon either.
Well, that's a good question. Then why aren't you going to Mojave then?
Because I like my NVIDIA cards, and
Oh, that's right. I
Mojave
forgot.
didn't give me that option. So nope.
That's right. I forgot about that. You're stuck.
He's one of those Nvidia people.
I know. One of them.
Team Green.
Quick question. How long does it take for that fish smell to clear out of the room?
Oh, never. I'm living with it in the basement. Enjoy yourself, Jay.
You know what you get?
Fantastic.
You know what you need to get, Jay? Some Febreze. Some of that spray Febreze. That'll get rid of
Yeah,
it.
I'm gonna need to now.
Huh?
It's the stinkiest Mac I've ever had.
Yeah, once you agitate those capacitors, there's really no turning back.
Right.
All right. Let's go with Steve next. What about you for upgrading?
Pretty much same as Rocky. I don't have a machine that natively supports Mojave besides my office laptop. So there's really no need or want for me to attempt to even load up Catalina. Some of the features look nice, but again, it's just down to me and the machines I have and the 32-bit apps that I use occasionally. I prefer just to stay where I am. I have my iMac on Sierra and my Mac Pro is on High Sierra. And for now, it works fine. If I ever need to, I could always upgrade, I guess. So I guess that's where I'm going to be sticking for now.
Okay. Cool. Look at that. We got Grudy in here. So we'll go to him before
Just
we
in
lose him
time.
again. So how about you there, Greg? What are your plans on upgrading to Catalina or not? And he's froze.
Yeah.
We'll take that as a yes.
Look, he's in his Batman pose right there in the dark.
I tried to get him before he dropped out
Batman.
again and see what happens. Oh,
I'm wired in.
There you are.
I can hear you. I can see you. Everything's working on my end.
no, you were freezing.
Oh,
Just
geez.
keep talking.
All right.
I am literally wired in with cat sound cable.
He discovered Ethan.
Oh, hallelujah!
Well, no,
It's
it's
a
not
historic moment.
Dad's man cave, and I don't like being down here, but it's the only place the internet has Ethernet.
So you were wireless then when I asked you about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you can't be wired on one of these.
True.
They're
Good
just
point.
not being invented.
So I'm currently on my 2008 MacBook Pro.
Okay. The question is, Catalina's coming out soon. Are you going to be upgrading?
Man,
And he freezes.
Eh,
We got a maybe.
I got a meh. That's what I got, a meh. And look at that
there's
face. The
something
memes,
way
the
not
memes
right.
are going
I
to
wonder
come
if
for that.
that Mac is having an issue or
All
something.
right, let's go over to.
It's been abused by Grudy for too
Yeah.
long.
We'll go over to Mike then. How about you, Mike?
Well, I only have one machine that'll natively run
Ooh.
it. That's my 20 Mac Mini.
Oh, your
mic
mic's
is
really low, Mike.
Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
now we can.
Yes.
With your sexy announcer voice for the radio.
And the kitty on his chair.
Yeah, that's Boots, by the way. Yeah, I only have one computer that'll run it natively, and that's my 2012 Mac Mini at work. And truthfully, I have no reason to upgrade my work computer. It runs Mojave now, and it runs rather slowly, and it's probably because it doesn't have an SSD in it. So, I don't have any reason to upgrade that. I'm running High Sierra on my Mac Pro here at home, and I'm quite happy with it. It's very fast. It's runs well. But I will, however, throw Catalina on one of my MacBooks, not my MacBook Pro, but my MacBook, just to see if MacBook will handle it as well as it handles Mojave. Just for the hell of it. So I don't know. That's one of the only computers I don't have to worry about the 32-bit apps on because they're just extra machines now since I have a MacBook Pro. So.
Yeah.
So the more time elapses, the more I feel like a douche for asking this. But can anyone hear
I
me?
could barely hear
Yes.
him, but
Okay.
Well, I've
Y'all
Oh, are
sitting
you
there
talking
nodding
about
like
Mike?
you hear the guy.
Or
I'm not hearing anything.
well, I heard Mike. I don't hear Rudy.
What's echo?
Can
Now
you hear me
Rudy's back.
now?
Yes.
Yep, we can hear. I can hear.
yes, we can hear you
Okay,
now.
can you guys hear me?
yes.
Nobody
Yes.
cares.
Can hear you, Rudy.
I moved it from the big giant switch my dad had into the Airport Extreme, which is plugged into my Wi-Fi and stuff.
Okay,
You sound like you have a
So,
very convoluted.
all
setup.
we
Do I
got-
need to repeat myself so Jay can hear me or not?
Yeah, I can hear you.
so all we got
Yeah.
from you, Grudy, was May, and then you froze.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure yet. Currently, Mojave's fine for me. And there's so many systems I have and so many programs that I like to experiment with that are 32-bit that unless someone...
And he froze again.
This is going well.
Kick him off.
Ah. All right, he's back. He's back.
Here he comes. He's back.
There he is.
Okay, I am filming this to prove to you guys that my end seems to be working
No,
fine.
you're freezing on everybody here except. I mean, everybody else is fine. You're the only one freezing.
Where did I freeze at?
I forgot what was he talking about?
I don't know.
I think it's your
laughing,
poor little MacBook, which is been
Oh, that's
abused
a
for so
meme.
long. Now
That's
you're
a meme.
you're frozen right
Jordan.
now. However, I might appear to be talking to you. So
Oh, you just.
can you hear me, Greg? Maybe.
He's getting memed right now.
Poor Greg.
Oh man, the memes about Grudy tonight are going to be terrible.
Yeah, we already have two.
Oh,
Am
God.
I here?
Now he's waving.
Guys, wait.
Now you
So
are.
did you hear me when
Okay.
you froze?
So I said, unless someone comes up with a 32-bit application layer for Catalina, I don't really see much of a point in going in Catalina currently.
Yeah, that's the reason why, like I said, I'm staying with.
He froze again.
I think he was finished, hopefully. But that's
Yeah, I think that was the end of the sentence.
Hold on. Somebody needs to see what's in his glasses. Like, what's he
he's
looking at on
Pornhub
his
or
screen?
something, isn't
We might have to box out his glasses. Oh, he's back.
Censor.
I've heard every single thing you guys have said. Like
he? And he froze.
freezing.
And he's back.
Oh, he's back.
I'm literally plugged in with Cat 7 cable.
Well,
Wait, is that
You
a
gotta
thing?
lick it.
That's 7. Is
Your
that
connection sucks,
yeah.
bro.
that
And
or
he's
the
frozen again.
MacBook
That's
just
the
really
same.
hates you?
I think it may be his MacBook. Maybe it's not being able to handle whatever.
It's the internet because it was doing it on my phone too.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah, but you didn't come back on the phone. You were gone and just gone.
Yeah.
all right, guys. So now we talked about upgrading or not. Now, some of the officially supported hardware, which Collins Patcher will handle, is, and I'm going to read off the list here, is the MacBook 2015 and later, the MacBook Air 2012 and later, the MacBook Pro 2012 and later, the iMac 2012 and later, the iMac Pro, the iMac Mini 2012 and later, and the Mac Pro 2013 and later. Now, is that right?
Huh.
Yeah.
I thought you could patch a Mac Pro 2011 or 2012,
Yeah,
but it says 2013 and later.
yeah, that's the official list,
Okay.
not the patcher list.
No. That's
Excuse me.
okay. We
That's
list
the official
officially
list.
supported hardware and see
Oops.
which hardware is supported via Collins. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm reading
Yeah.
it wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the official list, guys. So that's probably one reason why I'm not going to upgrade my Pro, because I don't like to use a lot of patchers on my stuff. Because once you start using patchers,
Eh.
you know, eh, to me it just degrades it a little
What
bit.
is this, a slippery slope like drugs or
No,
something?
no.
Of course,
You're like, man, I don't know if I could ever live without a patcher.
Once you start patching, you can't go
Exactly.
back.
Once you go Mac with a patcher, you can't go back.
Dude, every
A
single
lot of
Mac I
people-
have, except for one, has a patcher on. I have a problem exactly 0.
See, Mike is addicted. That's the
That's
problem.
the problem. Well, I mean that's
Yeah.
you. That's just me. I'm
I
gonna
need
stick,
that crack, man.
but I'm sticking with it only because I won't be able to play certain 32-bit apps, which is our next topic. So we're still on this
Well,
topic.
according to a lot of people, the 5.1 Mac Pro can run it natively. You just got to patch the supported machines list.
Oh, like the old school patch and tiger to run on unsupported equipment.
And where do you patch that? In the installer?
I
The
think
P list or something like that.
it's somewhere in.
And
It's one of the
Nice.
P lists, just like the
That's
old school
helpful.
ones, I
it
bet.
probably is. We'll have to talk to Colin. We were going to try to have him on tonight, but fortunately he has school, so we couldn't get him on to talk about this. But
Darn kids.
Fortunately or unfortunately?
well, I don't know. Basically, we said you got to be on camera. This is a visual show, not an audio show.
Are we sure that it was school that kept him away?
I don't know. That's what Grudy told us. So, any comments on the hardware that support it, guys?
Wish I knew where my hat was.
Well, I ran, I think it was High Sierra on my 2009 MacBook Pro. I've done Mojave on the 2012 MacBook Pro. It's fine. I think with the patcher, Catalina will run just fine on much older stuff than what they say. The problem is 32-bit.
Yep.
So, I don't.
Yeah, and then sometimes I'll just have like an older version. Like I bought the license, let's say, for an older version of Little Snitch or something that may be 32-bit only. And yeah, so I'd have to pay for an upgrade. But if I upgrade my OS, then I could just continue using the older version. So.
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm sticking with it on this Mac Pro, and that's because like I said, I'm going to do some stuff with it and I don't really want to upgrade it on this. I'm fine with Mojave on here, but
Sorry.
on my MacBook Pro, the reason why I'm putting it on there is because I like the sidecar feature, and I have an iPad.
You are obsessed with
I like it because it gives you an extra screen on a laptop.
I mean, if I had the compatibility for it, I'd probably play around with it, but I'm not going to buy a new Mac and buy an iPad just to use that.
Well, I already have the iPad and the Mac that supports it, so I mean, it works fine for me.
Ooh, Mr. Fancy.
Well, I got a 2017 MacBook Pro and a iMac Pro, or not iMac, iPad Pro. So.
And actually, Rocky, you should be excited about Catalina because it's supposed to have this open API that companies like NVIDIA can make use of to make drivers again.
Yeah, I ain't holding my breath until that actually
Yeah,
happens.
we'll see if that actually happens.
And watch, as soon as NVIDIA comes out with some open API drivers, Rocky's upgrading. Boom.
Honest 3.1 running Catalina.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Go on, patch that.
All right, guys. Any other comments or thoughts on this topic?
Did you say
I said thoughts, not thoughts.
Okay, just checking.
Oh,
No
God.
thoughts here.
Yeah, what's on your mind there, Jay?
I was just looking online to see if it was confirmed for tomorrow, but I can't find anything.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a problem I
think-
had.
Brock was one of the ones that was telling me that it's supposed to come out tomorrow. So, Brock,
Sure,
But
blame
Brock-
it
if you
all
know-
on
talks
viewers.
a lot.
where did
You
you?
know, never take Brock serious.
Yeah, where did you find that information out that it's dropping tomorrow? because that would be very interesting to know. Because I think it was Brock that said it, if I remember correctly.
Quite possibly. He's pretty on top of that stuff.
So, anyways, let's go ahead and transition over to our next topic, which actually is still kind of Catalina, because basically we've been talking about this.
Sorry.
Is that the 32-bit app support is going away. So, what top 4 apps, and this I'm talking to you guys here, are you going to miss the most? And since Jay and I have the same 2 apps, I'm going to list my 2 apps first. I only have 2. The first,
He's beating Jay
exactly,
to the punch.
because he's got like 4 of them, and 2 of them are the same as mine. The first one is Unreal Tournament 2004. I think all of us will probably agree on that.
Got that right.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't play it on Intel.
Huh?
I don't play it on an Intel machine, so it doesn't bother me.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want to play it on a Intel machine, you're going to lose that support. The second thing is Wired. And the reason why I say that is, in order for us to do this show, Jay does all the overlays and stuff. He puts them on his Wired server. I download them. That makes it so much easier to do that way. And so that's going to be missed too.
Except tonight.
Except for tonight.
Steve did the Steve did the overlays tonight.
But normally Jay does them, so.
Normally, yes.
So what about you?
Matt is saying he'll miss iWeb. iWeb? I thought that stopped working like 5 years ago.
Oh, it
What
works.
is-
You just got to export things
What
manually.
is iWeb?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
I went for making web site pages.
Yeah, it used to be part of iLight
Oh.
back in 06, I think it began.
Something I've never
Yeah.
really done to
Oh,
use.
okay.
So.
Yeah, it's sort of like, it was like a Squarespace thing before that was a thing. And it kind of worked, but now all the coding is kind of outdated. But if you're doing basic stuff, it should work fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got apps like Rapid Weaver kind of took over, but these days, just run WordPress. Don't even bother with all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
How about you, Jay? Since I stole 2 of your apps there.
Well, and I have a comment on yours, Steve. I saw you typing it in last minute. QuickTime 7 Pro. I use that all the time. Dreamweaver CS6. I still do 95% of my web stuff in Dreamweaver CS6. Unreal Tournament 2004. And for me as well, Wired. I'm going to miss those. So, well, I'm not.
I ain't missing anything because I'm not up there.
Exactly.
But I would miss
About to
this
say.
if I do upgrade at some point.
Oh, so we already got memes
Yeah, but-
showing up, huh?
I
Mhm.
mean, I was looking at my apps. I was just opening them, looking at an activity monitor on my iMac, and just trying to see. I don't use too many apps, but there are some like QuickTime 7. Then there's like MPEG, Strip Stream, or something like that. Like a lot of these little video programs that I use for like one purpose or another. Some may be 64-bit, but some may not be. So it's just like one more reason not to upgrade for me. And like I jumped the gun earlier, but like I said, if you have an older version of an app, like I have an older license for Little Snitch, but it'll stop working if I would upgrade. But again, that's not a big deal. Like, well, you pay $20 to upgrade the app if you really want. Usually they're pretty affordable to upgrade if you have a previous version. But that's I guess all I had to say about it.
Well, I'm reading something here. Brock just mentioned it. He says you'll see Catalina drop Goldmaster drop, and I mentioned that earlier, but he also said you'll see it tomorrow on Apple's website for the public unless Tim Apple changes the release date.
Well,
So,
place your bets, folks. Place your
Yep.
bets.
all right, so we can publicly flog Brock if he's wrong, right?
Yeah.
Of
Live on
course.
the next Mac, yeah.
That's right.
We'll put him on here just so we can flog him. It'll be fun.
What about you, Rocky? But you're not upgrading, so. But if you did, what would you miss?
Honestly, going back through my apps on my Mac Pro, I don't actually use very many unsupported and old apps. Occasionally, I pull some for this project or that project. But if I were to go hypothetically to Catalina and have that as a second boot, because I wouldn't give up having 1013. There's a lot that I do use in it and like using. So maybe the only thing would be maybe UT, and that's it. There's really not a lot of day-to-day 32-bit apps that I use.
Yeah, but you haven't played UT in a long time either, so how would that?
Well, I have been busy, and if I
When
really
you
want to
want
play
to.
UT, I've got a G5, so we're okay. And my G4s, I've got a collection, so
I
it's not like I have to miss
I
out.
just had to throw that in there, because I haven't seen you on UT lately.
Yeah, well,
And
when you
wasn't
work,
it,
you know.
Jay, wasn't he supposed? Didn't he drop a
He
challenge?
hasn't shown up since the chat.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
What? You all made up the challenge. I
No,
didn't say I was
no,
going to be
no,
there.
no. I think he's full of it. What do you think, Jay? Mike, how about you? What are you going to miss if you upgrade?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I've actually the main thing that I would have had a problem with was Microsoft Office, and we just spent some money and got a actual copy of Microsoft Office 365.
Well, Office 2016 will
It's a
work
nice one.
on the Catalina, right?
Yeah, 'cause it
I
comes
was
with
actually
64.
running 2011, 2012.
Yeah, 2016 will work because it's
I'm-
64-bit.
I was actually 2 generations behind. I'm cheap.
Yeah,
don't
no, I still have the 2011
I
version.
still have-
too,
I
so.
still have Office 2004 on my iMac for crying out loud.
Wow.
I still have the 2001 version where everything had the cool OS 10 looking icons.
Yeah. So
Hey, I like
I
Office
mean, I have
365.
I have a couple of apps here on my Pro, mostly related to my my digital cameras and stuff that aren't, to my knowledge, probably aren't going to be updated because my cameras are a couple years old now. But I mean, nothing. I could probably upgrade my Mac Pro to Catalina now, and I'd lose Unreal Tournament 2004, which would be a real bummer because this is the only computer I have at home right now. And probably a couple other little odds and ends that I could probably live without, but go away. You know.
Okay.
But don't have any intentions on upgrading at the moment, so. And I did check FileMaker is 64-bit, so I could actually upgrade my work computer and be okay.
Oh, okay.
That's the main program we use is FileMaker.
What does FileMaker do? I mean, I'm not familiar with it.
It's
Anything you want.
Yeah, basically it's a database on steroids.
Ah,
Apple
Is-
version of
Access.
SQL and a front-end component like what you would have with Access. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, except it's multi-platform.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right.
and I haven't seen a copy of Access in 10 years.
I used to use Access. In fact, I took a college course on
I'll send you one.
Access, and that was the most unuser-friendly piece of
Yeah.
software ever designed.
Yeah, it's pretty crappy.
Yes. It's not.
Well, let me tell you, FileMaker is not for the faint of heart. At least not the newer. The older versions were easier, but I think they're on version 20 now, or 18 or something like that.
Really?
I think so.
Last time I was on there about a year or two ago, it was on like 15. So wow, they've jumped versions.
Well, see, I'm running 17, and I think it's telling me that I'm like two versions behind.
Wow.
Because it's not cheap software.
Nope.
It's
That's
like
expensive.
it's something like $1,000.
Only? Dude, that's expensive.
No, I said it's something like $1,000. I didn't say it's
Oh.
only $1,000. Although, truthfully, for what it does, it's worth the money if you really have need of its power, to say the least.
Yeah.
Only, but like I said, only if you don't have use for everything it can do, then it's not worth.
Yeah.
I just like that they renamed the parent company to Claris again. So
Oh, they
Not
did?
Winsoft
That's cool.
International anymore.
no, Claris.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Bringing it back, baby.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Crazy Ken talked about that in his FileMaker video.
Oh, Ken did?
Yes, he
Wow,
did.
okay.
must have missed that one.
Must have missed that one too. Yeah. All right. Since we got Grudy right now, stable looks like. What 32 bits ats that are you going to miss?
Stable. I think it's because I have both Wi-Fi and Ethernet, so it's switching.
Just get to the point.
Yeah.
The more you praise.
There's not a whole lot other than Office 2008 because I got that for free on a Mac once and just spread it across all my Macs. So I'd have to buy Office, which would be annoying. Apparently, most of my CS5 suite won't work, although Photoshop still will, so I won't have a problem with that. It's basically the only CS5 app I really use anyway. And I guess wired. The rest of it doesn't really matter to me. I like being able to use 32-bit apps when I need to. So.
Yep.
It's nice being able to use whatever you want whenever you want.
True.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot about the older Adobe stuff. Some of the features they just keep taking away, or the apps don't even work, or they don't even have them available.
I don't want to be stuck in some kind of pay thing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you don't need it professionally with the latest fonts and the latest features and compatibility and stuff like that, it's fine to just keep an older version.
Yeah, that's why
I use CS2 for years.
Yeah.
That's why you have multiple boots. I have actually I've got El Capitan computers. I've got my Mac High Sierra computer behind me here. So I'm going to have multiple computers with different versions of Mac OS. So I could pretty much run just about anything I need to run.
Cool.
And,
Steve, did you talk about yours?
My 32-bit
Yeah.
apps? Yeah, no, it was very quick.
Okay.
Just basically QuickTime.
What about Mike? No, Mike
Rudy brought
talked,
up
didn't he?
good
Mike
point
did, yeah.
about the Adobe apps.
Okay.
That's all I want to piggyback on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I must have missed the little snitch thing then.
Yeah, I mean, I was like typing it in and Jay caught me. But like if you have an older version of an app or something, you got to pay to upgrades. Like I think the ancient version of 1Password I had is only 32-bit. But I just use it on the phone, honestly, so I don't even have it synced to my computer anymore.
Yeah, same here. I have it on the phone and my iPad, but I don't use it on the computer much. I just let Apple's keychain
Yeah.
work there.
I'm same way. I use Apple's keychain, except when I'm in Windows, and then I type my password.
Yes, I do too. I don't let Windows.
The old-fashioned way.
I don't let Windows save anything because.
Except I do use KeyPass at work, and I might start using KeyPass in Windows on my personal computer.
Yep.
It actually works quite well.
I was looking at some of the chat here, and there was one person I must have missed. It must have flew off there. Where was it? Okay, Zelda Classic probably won't work. It's a fan-made rebuild of the original Zelda game for Mac. Axiomatic Raptor says current best way to keep 32-bit apps in Catalina: install an earlier OS in a VirtualBox type program.
When are you going to call him Nick?
Whenever, probably never.
That's genius, Nick. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's a lot of
That
work.
is a lot of work
Still
because
booting is
here's
much
the thing.
easier.
I've actually tried to get Mac OS working in VirtualBox, and it's a pain in the butt to get it to work.
Mhm.
I have not succeeded yet.
Well, is there a version of Parallels that works with to have two running side by side?
Parallels is
or
basically
Yeah.
for Windows and Mac to work side by side.
That's
Parallels is not really. It's a virtual machine, but it runs with the Mac OS, so you can actually run it's almost like you're running Windows apps in your Mac OS.
Well, no, they have a feature that strips away some of the Windows UI and makes it just so like the window of the app opens. But the problem is, if you're trying to run OS 10 in a VirtualBox, there's no guest additions or helper software for that virtualization software to work with your
Yeah.
Mac. So any acceleration with graphics or sound or anything like that is not going to
Yeah.
work. So it's
Right.
like, your use of a virtual machine running Mac OS, an earlier version of Mac OS, on your Mac is probably very limited. So dual booting just makes a lot more sense.
I'd agree with that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would too.
And Jay's wife says she likes Filmmaker. Just takes a bit to set up. What is that?
I have no
Probably
idea.
a typo.
Is it a typo? Is it supposed to be FileMaker?
Because FileMaker does take a while
Okay.
to set up.
That's probably what it
I
is.
wouldn't say as long as a SQL front end or back end, but definitely takes some effort depending on how far you want to take it. Because I did some dev work on some FileMaker, and whoa, buddy.
Now, Matt's Tech
That was
says
an undertaking.
VMware does have tools, but no pixel acceleration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played around with it in probably almost, 10 years. So yeah,
I've never used VMware, so I couldn't tell you.
yeah, I used it for Windows stuff back in the day. It worked great, but I never really touched the Mac side of things. Like
I would like
running
to know.
Mac OS as a guest OS.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'd like to know, okay, Microsoft keeps running the 32-bit secondary capability on there. But what is Apple's reasoning other than the fact they're trying to tout that it helps with battery? Well, you said that on the iPhone, and my battery sucks. So
Yeah, I think they're just being security, and that's their reason. I don't think we ever got a straight answer. I don't think
it's all BS.
Well, maybe they're getting ready for Y2K38 extremely early.
Yeah. Okay, Noah.
There you go.
Maybe this is part of a slow transition to different processors. Who the heck
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Noah says Parallels can do VMs or coherence mode, which I understand about coherence mode. But
Yeah.
other OS apps appearing to exist directly in Mac did that with SolidWorks on my 2013 MacBook Pro, and it worked out pretty well. But I think the thing we're asking, and I don't know if Noah can answer that, can you run another instance of Mac OS inside of Mac OS?
As far as I'm aware, you cannot on
With the
Parallels.
coherence mode, you can't do that. It's only like Windows.
Well,
I run 7 different Mac OS inside Mac OS on VMware.
but I don't think you could do it in Parallels.
VMware is pretty robust, though.
Yeah, VMware can do it.
I've seen it done with Parallels via a very hacky method, and this is years ago, like with Leopard or Snow Leopard. So I don't know if that's the same anymore, but because the whole reason was one person wanted to run, they wanted to use Rosetta to run a PowerPC app, and so they installed Leopard, I think, as a VM in one of these apps, and it was like they had to do a whole lot of messing around just to get it to work. So I don't recommend it for the faint of heart.
Well, yeah. Starbuck Gaming says he has Mac OS High Sierra running in a virtual box on his Windows machines. Seems to work so far. Just set it up a couple days ago. However, I have tried to do it on a Mac machine and cannot get another Mac OS to work in VirtualBox, which I think it would. It should.
VirtualBox.
It will. I've done it before, but there's no graphics acceleration, and it's extremely crappy when it runs.
Yeah, consume your computer will go full blast with the fans and suck all the power out of your house.
And Noah says, okay, he's answering the question on coherence. He says, not with coherence mode on, but you can do it in Parallels really easy.
Okay. Things must have changed then. I mean, I'd be interested in poking around with it, but I have enough old Macs sitting around that don't need to.
Well, I haven't had Parallels since, I think, basically Mountain Lion, I think, or after that, I think maybe Mavericks, I think was the last time I actually used Parallels. Because I hated having to buy a new Parallels, which is like, I think it was like $50 every.
That sounds cheap.
Well, it was.
No, it was like 80, but they would put it on sale for like 50.
If you owned it,
I was in the
previous
same
version.
boat, Greg.
If you owned the previous version.
Yeah.
And
now I saw Parallels. Last time I looked at Parallels, that sucker was in the hundreds.
yeah, it is if you buy it right now.
Use Boot Camp.
But if you buy it, if you've already owned it, then they discount it for previous owners.
Yeah, I bought like version 5 or 6, and then I just used Boot Camp afterwards. Then I had my own dedicated PC, but yeah.
Well, the cool thing about Parallels is if you do have a Boot Camp partition, you can actually use that same Boot Camp as your virtual machine.
I had trouble. It did work for a while, and then something happened, and it like worked up the whole partition. Thankfully, I had a backup, but it was not happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing was, and I never did it with my boot camp partition, and the reason why I never did it is because one of the things it says you may have to reactivate every time you switch over to boot
Yeah.
camp and then go back to your virtual machine. You may have to reactivate Windows. I did not want to go through that hassle because Windows activation is a pain in the ass.
Yes. The current version of it
Yeah.
is.
This is back in Windows 7 days when you had to call in and you got those 5 or what was it, like 6 character strings, and you had about 15 of them.
Yeah.
It took you a half an hour.
It
just to
has
activate.
improved since then.
Well, that's because now they have a phone app. You can actually basically say, hey,
Yeah.
I have it on here, and what they do is it puts in a code real quick, and it's like a 6-digit code that it gives you. You put it in there, and it gives you an activation code. Boom. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But before, doing the phone in, especially if you had to activate it by phone, was a pain in the butt. Oh, yeah. Or you had to sit there and say each letter and character, and then it goes.
I never. I was never
automated
bad.
Yeah, then it goes.
Yeah.
Ding. The next.
Yeah.
What is in box, whatever, you know. And then once you said all those,
God.
then it would start repeating them back, the ones you had to type in
Yeah.
slowly. So,
It was so painful.
oh, yeah.
It was
You're,
painful.
you're scaring Jay
I-
there. You're talking too much about Windows.
Jay's looking at us like, this ain't Windows, Mac. Or Windows yet.
He's like, let's talk MDM. That's better than this.
Right?
All right, guys. So, I think, have we beat this one in?
Yeah.
Oh, like a dead horse.
Well, that's almost like some of the ones that I've seen on Mac Pro users where they keep talking about, the price.
Hey, what are you talking about? We had one of those today on the Mac Yak.
Oh, well,
Keep it moving.
Talking
Come on.
about the heat pipes.
yeah, heat
No,
pipes.
no, come on. Keep it moving. No,
He's trying to move it so long.
no. I got places to be. Come on.
Hey, we still got an hour and 15 minutes.
That's nice. Let's keep
All
going.
right. All right, guys. So anyways, this is one of Jay's topics here, talking about tracking power consumption. Does anyone track their power consumption of their equipment? And I'm going to throw it over to Jay.
Yes.
That's
I got I got about 7 of those kilowatt meters that I use. I use them everywhere except on my Mac Pro because it would be too depressing to read the readout of it. But yes, I'm pretty aware of how much my equipment uses. And as powerful as the Mac Pro is, it is not that much. I think on average, and I measure, because I have another Mac Pro that I use for work, just a Mac Pro and a display, I think I'm at 280 watts. And that's running FileMaker and various other things. So, it's the same that we always hear with the G5. Like, oh, it has a 1 kilowatt power supply. Oh, no. That's not what it uses all the time.
Yeah.
well,
And,
Jay.
if-
Remember, we had this
if-
discussion with some folks about graphic cards, and
Yeah.
power usage, and we tried to tell them that the graphics card is not going to just suck down that max amount of watts all the time.
Right. Like, just because the car can go 400 doesn't mean it does so all the time. You got to work up to it. But yeah, I'm curious like that. I like to know how much my equipment uses, and I use them on servers, on pretty much everything except my Mac Pro. But I just ordered another kilowatt yesterday or the day before, and I will be tracking this one as well.
Now, I got a question for you, Jay. Have you done it on your cluster node yet?
Someone in the chat just said that.
Oh, did they?
The cluster nodes, the kilowatt tops out at 1,200 watts, so I don't think I have to try.
Oh, so it would probably blow out your kilowatt, huh?
It probably would.
Well, you can separate it out. You can do clusters of, the clusters. It'd be like 1 kilowatt here, 1 kilowatt there.
No. I can do that.
I just know if my lights start dimming, I'm using too much power. So that's
Well,
that's my measurement.
I know it when my circuit breaker blows downstairs that I'm using too much power.
That too. Yep. That's. Yeah, you
What's
see
your
this
circuit
iMac
breaker?
here?
A 20 or a
You
15?
turn that on and a bunch of its trends,
15.
and you'll blow it. Whew.
15
Does
on
anyone
1,
else
15?
track their power consumption?
Nope.
I wanted to get one of it was one of those things you're supposed to actually put in your circuit breaker box, and it tells you like how much you're actually using. But apparently, from what I was reading, there's like this. I think it's like a radio adapter or something that even without buying that, you could just like sort of, because all of the electrical meters outside basically emit some sort of radio signal, and so if through some sorcery you could actually read your own to a degree. I mean, how much is it going to tell you about your individual devices? That's probably not going to help, but yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
Just walk
talking
outside
about-
and look at your meter.
Are you talking about reading out your own smart meter?
Yeah, there was a thing that was supposed to. It was one of these like Kickstarter things or whatever. It was this little orange box with clamps, and you were supposed to put it inside of your box. It was supposed to like keep measurements for you or whatever. And then people were like, "Yeah, you could just read your damn meter outside."
Yeah, read the
Well,
meter because that traffic.
Technically,
that traffic
the
from your meter
way these new
is
meters,
encrypted.
the way these new meters are nowadays, it's hard to get a reading on there because it's all cryptographic now. It's like all cryptic.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. There was some way to wirelessly, read it or something. 'Cause-
Well, that's the way a lot of what the power company's doing now is they actually are reading them through the power line. So they get signals off through the power line. So they don't even have meter readers anymore. So they just basically they send a signal to your meter.
Oh yeah, that's a smart
Yeah.
meter. That's what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
and that's what I'm saying. Those are
But that LTE traffic, in some areas it's 4G, others it's LTE, 900 megahertz. That traffic between your meter, and it's not your meter communicates with the company. Your meter communicates with the meters of your neighbors, and somewhere in your area there's one meter that communicates with the energy company.
I must live in a.
That traffic between meters is all encrypted. You can't read it.
Well, I know that some of them use. I just googled it. Some of them, and I think this is what I was reading. Some of them use a high definition like radio band to communicate with a handheld thing that a driver will just drive down the street.
I'm
pick
not
up all
sure
the
you're
signals.
thinking HD. I'm thinking you're thinking of HF.
Oh man, I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't have all the details. All I know is I still see the guy go on my property and he has this like big bulky thing that's attached to his hip, and it's picking up the meter signal. So I just know that our meter's old. That's all I know.
Yeah. Well, keep it that way. It's more
Well,
accurate.
I don't know if you guys
There
remember
you
the little wheel that spins around and the little dials.
Yep, had one up until about a year
Yeah.
ago.
I
Yeah.
have to check.
When
I
you-
think we still.
But I
have
live
the-
in the middle of nowhere.
But when you see that wheel going real slow, you're like, yes. But when that sucker's going, you're like, no.
Turn on all the iMac.
Yeah. If I would have had one with the wheel at the time I run that cluster, it's like
It would have spun
I
out.
want a
huh?
video of that.
probably take off or something.
Sir, your wheel is broken. We're going to have to replace your wheel.
Yeah.
So James goes, Jay is waiting for the Nimitz to retire to get it cheap and use its power plant to run his cluster.
I would not be opposed to
And
that.
then Nick goes, Jay needs specific solar panels just for the cluster. I don't think
See, I can't run solar panels in Kansas because they have this fun little law that says if I run my own power equipment, then I have to backfeed into the power grid. I'm like, nope.
You ain't getting my power for free.
Exactly.
Well, I think the only problem with that is in order for Jay to run a cluster like that with that many solar panels, that would take a lot of solar panels.
Him and his neighbor need
No,
panels.
that would
Just have your
take the
son
whole.
out with the panel, just
That'd be the whole block.
holding it.
Oh, let's see. Noah goes, solar panels are great. It's only worth it in some place. Yeah, I agree with Noah on that. For like where I live at in Arizona, it's perfect because we get sun like about 90% of the year. but
Yeah.
in places like Florida or even Washington State, they get rain 90% of the year. So
Yeah. I mean, I literally had someone come out to my property just to, do one of those estimates or whatever. And of course, they're just trying to sell you on whatever.
oh yeah,
And I mean, yeah, from what he was saying, it was interesting, but we don't have any trees in our yard. So, like, any big trees, rather. So, you would get quite a lot of energy. But, from the cost of leasing those panels and all this and that, it still would cost me around what I pay for an electric bill on a good month.
yep.
So with a big loan on my hands, I wasn't comfortable with, I'll save a few $100s over the summer, but it's not enough for me to be like, yeah, sure, let's put a $30,000 loan on against these solar panels that are going to live on my roof. Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not worth it.
Exactly. I mean, I've seen, like, here in Arizona, we get a lot of people put solar panels and stuff on their roofs, but we also have a lot of what these solar water heaters, and what they do is they put
yeah.
the you'll see the black pipes and you'll see the hoses. It's like you'll see a circle of
It's
it's a
coil.
coil of hose, paint it black and
Matte black.
and basically it sucks in the heat and it helps
Thermal
Mhm.
panes.
And the hot water heaters around here are actually designed for that because there's an extra, I guess, inlet just for that water to go in. It doesn't heat up the water all the way, but it heats it up enough so that the electricity that you use, or gas, is less because it doesn't have to heat up
Yeah.
as much,
That's cool.
you know?
Yeah, the only thing I'd consider with solar is if I had some sort of big battery where if the power went out, I could use some electricity. But it's too expensive now. So, that's not going to be the case for a few years.
Yep.
But that would be interesting.
Let's see. Londo goes, the company where I work has solar panels on the roof that feed back into the grid, and we get some of that kind of deal on that. I think, Rocky, you were saying, nope, you're not going to pay the power company. Yeah.
They do give you a little bit of a credit if you backfeed, but it's like being required to do that I have to backfeed, that I can't just have the panels supply
It's so
for me.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've also
And
I've also seen, and I've read stories on this and seen stories where people try to get off the grid completely and get
Mhm.
fined.
It's illegal in the Kansas.
It's illegal
in
pretty
Kansas,
much
yeah.
everywhere, I think.
They'll get that money one way or another.
Yeah, it's like, so I can't be self-sufficient. I have to rely, and they're like, oh, because it's a safety reason. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah. You have to be able to backfeed into the grid.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just that they want you to be able to have an electric bill no matter what.
Yeah. Which,
I
I
have to
mean,
look into
Kansas's
it, but-
explanation in their law is you backfeed into the grid, which helps stabilize it, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you just don't want me to be self-sufficient, not pay nobody.
I'm sorry, but there's not that many people in Kansas, is there? Well, at least they have more people than probably North Dakota, so I got to give them that.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
this is a battle of the geography.
I had to do it, Rocky. Sorry.
Is there going to be a geography beat? Because if there is, I'm out of here.
I'd have to look into it, but I think where I live, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure I could just build up a bunch of solar panels in my backyard and power everything.
Well,
but
Greg, you're in redneck heaven, so come on, you can build anything you want there, right?
plus, it would probably be more reliable than the power I have here. The good thing is I have a natural gas powered generator that can power my whole house when the power does go out.
Whoa, natural gas. That's one I haven't heard of before.
Yeah, it's a generator.
Oh, cool. So instead of diesel or gasoline.
I totally have one of those for your internet.
So James goes, removes the Dale Gribble hat. Oh.
And, yeah, if you had some solar panels set up there, Grudy, you could plug in a bunch of G5s and have your, the world's only solar powered G5 cluster.
Dude, that'd be cool.
I kind of want to do it, but I don't have that kind of money. That would cost a lot of money.
Wait a second. This is the same guy that's saying that he was thinking about buying a Mac Pro when it came out.
Yeah, right? Priority.
Yeah.
That proves a lot more importance than some stupid solar panels.
All right, so looks like we're getting a lot of good chat in here too about this. So this is it's pretty good actually. As far as power consumption tracking, I don't have anything right now that I could track power with. So I need to get one of those kilowatt hour things, and so I can start tracking.
Yeah,
Jay might be able to put a link out there to him.
I just wait for my power bill and see how much I've used for the month. It's painful, but that's how I keep track.
You want to see painful? I'll show you my electric bill later.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's not pretty.
Well, I don't know if you guys want to share it or not, but my electric bill is usually about $200 to $230 a month.
Well, which month are we talking?
I mean, in the summertime. In the wintertime, it's a lot less. It's usually about 100 to 120. It's the air conditioning that you really, really, especially here in Arizona, when it gets to 90, 100 degrees outside, that air conditioner is running.
Why are you complaining about 90 to 100 degrees?
Huh?
Live in Kansas. 90 to 100 degrees will murder you in Kansas.
It murders you in Arizona,
so
too.
For July, I used, let's see, 2,200 kilowatts, and I paid $201.
So it's about
That's not bad.
That's my highest month because of the AC.
I'd say compared to the winter, my electric bill triples
Cheaper than mine.
the summertime. But I'm also
winter,
running a very old AC unit.
In the winter, I save money because I'm not running the AC, but then I get my gas connected to power the heater, and I pay 40, 50. Let's see, what was it? In January, I used my gas bill alone was 115. That was just the gas.
Yep.
I wish I was
supply your own gas.
Yeah. Hey, all you have to do is just run all your cluster. That'll be your heater right there.
Yeah.
Electric bill goes up,
money.
gas bill goes down.
Well, when I used to live just outside of town, we had a propane tank on the outside that we filled up for winter and stuff. It just ran basically the heat and stuff. But in the summertime, it was a swamp cooler, which sucks. Because although for electricity wise, it's good because
that's humid.
Because here in Arizona though, you want the humidity to be inside. That's why swamp coolers work here, but they won't work in Kansas. You have to have dry.
Oh God! Yeah. In Kansas, we've already got the swamp cooler. Walk outside, you're gonna come back in looking like you sweated 2 days.
But in Arizona though, swamp cooler is king pretty much a lot of places, but it's very unreliable, especially during monsoon season, because then they don't work at all. It has to be dry air in order for the swamp cooler to actually be efficient.
Not to go off topic too much, but what the hell is a swamp cooler?
A swamp cooler basically is
evaporative cooling.
Cooler, yeah, it's basically it has pads that get soaked in water, and it draws the hot air from outside through the pads, sucks in it. Basically, the water in the pads sucks out the heat and makes it cool air, and that gets blown inside the house.
Oh my God! I can see the corrosion on my Mac Pro.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. I'll stay away.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't be able to use it in Ohio there because it's too humid. It has to be.
Yeah, they don't work. They don't work out here anyway, Jace. Don't worry about that.
You only see them out here, like in Arizona and Southern California, places like that. So.
Places where the average temperature is 110 degrees.
And 0% humidity.
0% humidity.
So.
But it's a dry heat.
I'm sure you're not going to miss that.
So James goes, Virginia is a swamp cooler.
So is Pennsylvania, guys.
I think it's a swamp heater, not a swamp cooler, right?
Actually, I'd take it back. Pennsylvania's just a swamp.
Yeah, there you go.
At least it was today. It rained all freaking day. A high temperature of 61 degrees.
Ooh, so nice. Ours was in the 50s.
I think it was probably in the 80s today for us, so it wasn't too bad. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and transition to our next.
Did we lose GT?
No, I'm still here.
He's still
No,
there.
not GT. GH.
No, he's still there. He's moved.
I said that.
He's
He's
moving.
still there.
Yeah, I just keep freezing for some
No,
reason.
you've actually been moving. I
Oh,
haven't seen you
okay.
freeze lately.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, you popped in my screen to somewhere else. So that
Well,
was kind of weird.
that's
I'm-
because you went to audio only and then you came back because people have been popping in and out like that on mine. So
I am currently watching us on Dad's extremely large TV I've never used. This is kind of
Interesting.
The reflection.
man cave.
Yep. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic here. Apple repair and exchange programs Apple has had, and how many have actually affected you. And what we're talking about here is all these recall programs and like battery recalls, keyboards, you name it, whatever Apple has put out for a recall program or exchange program, how has it affected you? For me, myself personally, the only, knock on wood, the only one I've ever actually used was on my iPhone 8 Max, or 8 Plus rather, because it didn't have 8 Max, but the 8 Plus had a battery recall. And I didn't have an issue with the battery, but the battery problem was that it was supposed to like not take a full charge and stuff like that. So me and my wife went to the Apple store, had them replace the battery. It took about an hour. We went back, got it, and we were done. So it was pretty quick and easy. I didn't have an issue with it, but since they were offering it, we went ahead and did it. Now, Jay, you got a whole bunch of them here, so I'm going to go to you next.
Now, hold on. Before Jay goes, because I might actually have to pop off here, go pick up my daughter,
okay,
stuff
go
like
for
that. And mine's pretty
No, go
quick.
for it.
I'm just going to pop in real quick. I'm sorry, Jay. I don't mean to cut in line. But
I would say we'll settle this in UT, but you're not going to show up.
well played. But no, to be quick to the point, I've had to deal with about 2 official recalls. One of them, I was working as a technician, and I had to replace iMac G4 NEX because that was a massive nightmare recall. And then the second one was I profited off of the 2011 MacBook Pro graphics issue. I actually would buy them up because a lot of them know that they were still doing it in 2016, and I would buy them up dirt cheap, have Apple swap the board, resell the whole machine, and make money.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a classy way of making money,
Yeah,
right?
there you go. Hey, what works?
Yeah, I made a little bit of money that way, so
Well, the only one that I ever really took of was the battery replacement program they were doing last year for iPhone. I got mine for like half off on that, but my first iPhone 6S actually was one of the first production run that had the glitchy battery that didn't work right, and mine was one of them. And I didn't know about the program until after I'd shattered the darn thing. I was mad because the thing kept dying on me at like 70% charge, and it didn't survive. So
I think
if I
you know what it
about that
was.
program, I have that phone.
He didn't have it. It didn't accidentally shatter. He threw that sucker against the wall because it kept dying on him.
Oh yeah. It bounced off Prius. I'm not kidding either. It literally bounced off a Prius.
Boom.
I'm surprised you didn't like dent this. I mean, it didn't like destroy the Prius then.
Yeah,
Oh, please. I put my car through much worse than that. Don't give that a bad name.
All right, Jay, since we'll go to you.
All right. That was a good fluid sense of phrasing. All right. I have 2 small lists. Personally affected. Yeah, they're fairly small. And ones that I see, not personally affected, but I see them every day. Personally affected was the G3 blue and white. Came with that cinema display or studio display, and apparently it had an issue with flyback transformer. My display blew out or whatever was wrong with it, and that was before internet the way it is now. And Apple, of course, never tells you about these programs.
So this was CRT, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So my display fried, and I had to toss it because I wasn't aware there was a program, but apparently there was.
And now you're mad.
My first MacBook Pro, I am mad. My first MacBook Pro, 2006, had battery issues. That had a recall program. My dad had a G5. That had power supply issues. That had a recall program. My 2008 MacBook Pro, because I had my 2006, the battery replaced 4 times. That thing just kept swelling.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, so like, screw this. It's been a year and a half, 2 years. I'm done with this. I'm upgrading to a 2008. And then it turned out that the 2008 MacBook Pro had severe graphics issues.
Wow.
So that was fun. That was fun. And I had most of this stuff, by the way, before the programs were announced. Like, I had these issues before the programs were there, so I had to fight to get this stuff fixed. Then there was a 2010 MacBook Pro. I upgraded again. Back then it was every 2 years or so. I still had good trade-in value, and I would upgrade. 2010 MacBook Pro had hard drive recalls. Like, I know how to pick them. Then the last of the 17-inch that I had was a 2011, which of course had some GPU issues, as we all know. So had to have that replaced a few times. Let's see, where does that leave me? Then there was the MacBook, the unibody MacBook, the white one, the plastic one. It had the rubber bottom that just would peel off randomly. That would happen all the time. I had to super glue
Do they
that.
still replace that?
Yeah.
I have one. I got to bring in there.
Oh Lord,
Well,
the geniuses are going to look at you. Go,
today.
what the hell is this?
Yeah. Let's see, where am I at?
Only 10 years old. Come on.
Then there was the 2011 iPod Nano. I think it was a battery issue. So
Yes.
Then that one. In 2013, I was stupid, and I had an employee discount, so I was like, let me try a MacBook Air. I got the MacBook Air. Ooh, it was fast. It was useless because it was slow and small. And a week into getting it, the SSD failed. And it turned out they got a recall. So that was the first and only MacBook Air I ever touched. iPhone 5, great little phone, except the sleep-wake button kept getting stuck. So I had about 6 new phones just because of that button alone. Let's see. Then that wasn't too bad. I worked at Apple. I could just basically service my own phone, so that was the problem. Then, to make it worse, the iPhone 5 batteries started failing, so I needed to have 2 repairs done on my phone throughout the year. It was ridiculous. By the way, the 2011 MacBook Pro graphics card failures, they didn't announce the program until 2015.
Of course not.
At that time, I got a few $100s back from Apple because in a few instances I had to pay for that repair back in 2011, 2012. So that sucked. But they gave me the money back. I think that was it. Oh, no. The 2015 iMac that I had for about a month, it had a failing hard drive, and that turned out to be covered under a repair program as well. But I just sold the whole thing instead and got a 2014 for my wife. So that's the programs that have haunted me personally. The ones that I see every day in my line of work is every Retina laptop out there, the screen delaminates. It just melts right off, turns to garbage. So if you have a Retina laptop, it can be perfectly fine now, but one day it will just disintegrate. So something to look forward to.
Awesome.
The trash can Mac Pro, we got like 6-story shelving units full of them with filled graphics cards. So that's a real thing. And of course, the 2012 MacBook Pro 13-inch with the RAM pin issue, where it just starts beeping the RAM, or you get the black bands on the screen. I see that every day too.
What about you said did you mention the 2011 MacBook Pro GPU? I must have missed that.
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
I know a lot of people have had that issue.
So,
Yep, that's what I'll
And-
talk about.
when Apple says a small percentage of, I somehow always happen to be in that percentage. So, and I can tell you from the amount of Macs that we see at work every day, it's not a small percentage.
No.
It never is. So that's my short list.
Short.
All right, Steve, how about
I
you?
just happen to be a lucky guy.
So the one that affected me most recently was the iPhone 8. I had battery issues, but I also had Wi-Fi issues. And so I was literally on the last day of warranty just around this time last year, because I bought it in 2017. I bought the extended. No, it was, yeah, I bought it 2017, and last year was the year the warranty was expiring in September. So I went to the Apple store on the day it was happening, the day the warranty was expiring. And the phone just kept like going to a black screen when I opened up the camera. It would just stay there. I restored it, did all this stuff. So it was something hardware related, I thought. So I brought it to them. They said, well, we can't replace it unless we see it do it. And I said, look, I drove 45 minutes to the store. There's not a store near me, blah, blah, blah. The lady goes, okay, let me see what I can do. She goes back to get to the manager. It happens right again as soon as she leaves my site. So I'm at the Genius Bar, or whatever they call it these days, begging, hey, could you go get the purse I need? Look, it's doing it. The second she comes out, it doesn't do it anymore. But she was sympathetic. And she replaced the phone. She's like, you were having Wi-Fi issues too, blah, blah, blah. I think that was part of a recall. I don't forget exactly, what the circumstances was. Before that was my 2011 iMac. So that had the GPU issues. Tricky thing about that, and this just always pays for you to take screenshots of things, people. My 2011 iMac was originally not covered under the repair program. So Apple announced the program. I went to check my serial number. It said, nope, you don't qualify. And I go, okay, I guess I don't got to worry about it. A few years later, it happened. My graphics card just melted and the machine wouldn't work. And sure enough, I go to look at the website again. Magically, my serial number is supported, but the program has ended. So I
Yes,
called
they
Apple.
will adjust those pages on the fly without even mentioning anything.
So I call up Apple, play dumb, and they go, well, bring it into the store. So here I do. I lug this 27-inch iMac into the Apple store, and they run a hardware test on it. Boom, graphics card is bad. Quote me $660.
Nope.
For that graphics card. It was just it was the higher end model. It was the 2 gigabyte model or whatever. And I said, guys, this was, on the repair program, blah, blah, blah. They said, well, if you email us proof that you were lied to and the thing said it wasn't in the program or whatever, we'll consider it. I had a screenshot, and I produced that screenshot, and you know what? The manager of the store actually kept his word, and they replaced it for free. All I had to do was pay $60 for them to they noticed one of the hard drive fans was failing, so they're like, we could do that, but it won't be covered. You'll have to pay labor on it. So I think I walked away paying $60 with tax on that. So that wasn't
that's
bad.
nice.
That is nice.
But now the graphics card is failing yet again. So it's never going to end, I don't think. And the issue I had before that was with the iPhone 6, poor cellular reception or something like that. They swapped it out. Back when I had a black MacBook 2006 as my main machine, I still have the machine somewhere. There was a Seagate hard drive recall, but that was actually beneficial because I had it back. That hard drive was 80 gigs. They replaced it with a 160. So
There you go.
that was a nice upgrade. And the same thing that Jay mentioned about the Apple Studio display, that's a tricky one. Me and Jay researched that a few months ago. And what was
Up
interesting
until 4
is,
a.m.
yes, if you did not have the knowledge base number of the article, Apple was like, no, you have to pay for this. They did not want to admit they were doing it for free. But if you found that knowledge base article and you referenced it, magically you ship this ginormous monitor to Apple and they would fix it up for you. How I
Yeah.
know about this program and how it's near and dear to my heart is my dad had a studio display 20-inch model, which was not covered on the recall, although it suffered from the same exact issue, the same exact flaw. And the reason why is probably because most of the people with the 20-inch models worked at a business. They couldn't afford them at home. And so at a business, when something breaks, they just write it off and they throw it out. But, his company bought this monitor for him. And so when it died, he was pissed. So he he called Apple. He yelled at them for about an hour on the phone. They told him to write a letter to, the Cupertino address. But yeah, so that's the recalls that affected me. And I haven't bought anything new. So hopefully, knock wood, I don't get affected by anything else.
Okay. How about you, Groot?
If you hear a scream, I'm gonna be attacked by a
Okay.
skunk.
How about you, Groody?
Just letting you know.
Talked about mine, GT. I've already talked
Oh,
about
that's
mine.
right. You did. You snuck in there real quick. That's right. How about you, Mike?
Yeah.
None of my stuff's new enough to be covered by warranties.
Well, we're not talking about just stuff just recently.
I could have used what was it, $60 battery replacement on the iPhone.
Oh,
6.
yeah.
But of course, my battery didn't start failing until after they stopped doing that. So
That's the thing. It always seems to act up after that recall program.
yeah,
It's
It's
how-
funny how that works.
that's
You
how it
know,
always seems to work.
they
Exactly.
got that little push button that says, "Now we're going to make them fail." Boom.
Other than that, I actually haven't had any issues. I've only ever had to go to an Apple store once for any type of service, and that was on an original 2006 or 2007 MacBook that my stepdaughter had.
You lucky bastard.
I can't even remember what we went in for, to be honest with you. It was, it was so long ago. It was like 2000. It was like 6 months after we got it. She had a problem with it. I had to drive 130 miles to the closest Apple.
Ooh.
Which model was that?
The original MacBook, the 13-inch
That
MacBook.
probably was the battery recall then.
No,
Oh,
no, it wasn't a battery. It was God, I can't remember what it was. But they didn't end up doing anything with it anyway.
Did they fix it though?
So
I almost forgot. I had also a battery recall with that same MacBook that had the hard drive recall because the battery was swelling and they didn't question it. They replaced it. And then my brother had that laptop. I lent it to him, and he had a friend that worked at the Apple store. And apparently, maybe there was a recall or they just had the part lying around. I don't know the whole story. They replaced the whole top case for nothing. So.
Yeah, there was another
those things have a lot
iMac with a Seagate hard drive recall. I think it was 2011 or 2012, and it was a small percentage of hard drives manufactured between this and this and blah, blah, blah. We had so many appointments made at the Genius Bar at the time. We had to assign a separate staff to handle it all.
Wow.
So small percentage, my ass.
No, I'm remembering now. My 2011 iMac had a hard drive recall also because I remember having to take out my SSD, cleaning up the insides of the iMac, making it look like I never modified the damn thing, and brought it into the Apple store so they'd replace the hard drive that was failing inside.
Yeah, and I think it was the 1 terabytes or the 2 terabytes.
Yep, it was the 1 terabyte.
It was it was a stampede. It was crazy.
Well, one thing I forgot to mention that they didn't have a recall on this, but I actually had to bring my iPhone 8, the same one that got the battery replaced. Before I got that battery replaced, I had an issue with the camera on it. The first time, and I had to go into the Apple store twice for the same issue. What was happening was when I take a picture or a video, it would put green streaks on the video and the camera, and it looked like almost like a green screen. Was on.
Which one was
the iPhone
that?
8 Plus. So I was having issues with the camera, so I brought it in. They replaced the camera on it. So at first, when I was looking at the store, I was like, okay, it looks like it's working now, blah, blah, blah. I get about 2 hours away from the store. Guess what? It comes right back doing the same thing again. So I'm like, So I make another appointment. So this time when I go in there, I said, you guys replaced the camera last time. I want the phone replaced because I'm sorry, but it's got to be a logic board, because if you replace the camera, it's on the logic board. So the guy does some tests and stuff, and he finally goes, "Oh yeah, you're right. It is a logic board." Well, like, you could do that test the first time. So
Of course
yeah.
not.
So anyways, they replaced my phone, and needless to say, if you actually get a phone replaced and you're a Sprint user, it's a pain in the ass, because not only will, once you get the phone replaced, you take the SIM card out, but you cannot use that same SIM card in a new phone, because once you activate it with Sprint, that phone gets locked, or that SIM card gets locked to that phone. You cannot use it in any other phone, no matter what. Yeah, that's the
Lovely.
way Sprint does things. So I had to go find a Sprint store, because the phone was so new. It was only been out like a month or two. I had to go to find a Sprint store that had SIM cards for it. Well, I finally found one, but then I get there and find out, oh, well, we don't have any extra ones. We have them with new phones, but we can't take them out and put them in your phone. So I ended up having to use what they call this bring your own phone program, SIM cards, and it worked. So, but it was just ticking me off with not only
nightmare.
Not only dealing with Apple, but then I had to deal with Sprint right afterwards. So it was like a 2-for-1.
I'm sorry, man. You've been had by Apple.
Why? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, my connection dropped for
The
a
skunk
second.
got him. The skunk got him.
No. I'm in the basement now. The activating a Sprint line is such a headache. It takes up half an hour of your Genius Bar appointment. That portal has not been updated since the first time Sprint got the iPhone. So the Genius Bar will lie to your face. They have drawers full of SIM cards. Make no mistake. All they have to do is bend down, grab a SIM card. But it's such a headache to activate a new line. And most of the time you have to call because the portal doesn't work. That they will just say, this Sprint, the whole story that they gave you, and they will send you packing to take the next appointment.
I'm glad you told me that now, because next time...
You will not find a single Apple employee that likes Sprint because we hate them.
Okay, I'm glad you told me that now, Jay, because you know what? Next time I have an issue like that where I have to get a phone swap, I'm going to make them do it. And I'm going to say, I have an insider that says you got SIM cards behind the desk here, so give me one.
Prove me wrong.
And record it.
Well, if I have a bad camera, how am I going to record it?
Your wife's phone.
Mike made me think. I did have other things replaced by Apple. Dad's girlfriend's ex-girlfriend's video iPod, 5th generation.
Complicated.
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago. It was back when this thing was brand new. It wasn't even a month old. Anytime it would play video back, it would jumble all the audio and make it really nasty and staticky. And it was apparently...
And he froze.
Yeah, it was apparently Steve Jobs' fault.
Apparently Apple's trying to stop Grudy from talking.
All right, here he is.
Finish your sentence.
Apparently
you froze it. Apparently.
Okay, apparently it was the hard drive. The platters weren't communicating right or something. And
weird.
I had to actually call Apple because we're like 3 hours away from an Apple store and talk to them. I even have an audio recording of this from back in the day because it took like an hour on the phone with them. I had to describe the error, and then I had to mail it into them for them to say there was nothing wrong with it, mail it back, and then I had to mail it back again before they finally actually tested it and replaced it. And then the second time, I got on eBay back in the day to buy an iPod Classic 160 gig back when they were still being sold. And before I bought it, the guy had said that the hard drive wasn't working. And I typed in the serial number, found out it was still under warranty, made an appointment with the Genius Bar right before I got it in the mail. I got it in the mail. I drove it straight to the Genius Bar, and they replaced it for free.
Well,
Nice.
Nick is.
By the way, Grudy, are you on your 2012 MacBook Pro?
No,
It's
I'm
over
on
2008.
2008. Why?
All right, that's why you keep freezing. Your CPU is probably hiccuping up to
No,
105
there's
Celsius.
nothing wrong with the CPU. It's the internet.
What's your CPU running at? Because I hear the fan blasting.
Oh,
I
I
hear
know. It runs hot when it's sitting on my lap. I have nowhere else to put it.
How hot is it running?
Well, I have the fan curve on. It's running at 77 right now.
It's pretty hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, my lap's getting toasty, but every time I freeze on here, even though I can still hear you guys, my TV and YouTube freezes on it. I have no clue what's going on with the internet.
I think you have a squirrel chewing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Well, I was looking at the chat here, and Nick was saying, I have never had that issue with SIM cards on my phones. I have Sprint. I swap cards when I switched from SE to the Note 8. I'm surprised that worked because I'm telling you, I basically took the SIM card out of my old one and put it in the new one, and it would not activate with Sprint. Because, and the way Sprint told me is that once you use that SIM card and activate the phone, it is locked to that hardware, and you cannot use it on anything else, which is stupid, to be honest with you, because I know AT&T phones.
Now,
Go ahead.
GT, I'm going to say this because, I mean, I'm here. I'm just not video and stuff. But Brad did that to me, too. And then I went to a different store and found out that was bullshit. I could call Verizon over the phone. And they were like, oh, yeah, okay, we'll authorize it. Because basically, for whatever reason, they denied that phone. But as soon as I called them, they're like, oh, okay,
you're talking
that's
about
fine.
Verizon.
And they let it activate.
Yeah, they just got to propagate the new IMEI number in your set.
I'm talking about Sprint. Sprint
Yes,
actually
yes.
basically burns in.
Yeah, Sprint can do that too, but they lie to you.
Yeah.
They'll lie to you just like any.
Well, let's put it this way. I was going to make them fix my phone at the Sprint store.
So much work. That's what they do.
So, but they fixed it. They got it fixed, but it took me, I mean, I was furious with both of Apple and Sprint at the time. So, but anyways, AT&T phones I know because I actually lent a friend of mine because he broke his phone. He was waiting for the new iPhone 7 to come out. He had like an iPhone 5 before. He just basically, and I had an iPhone 5S, I think, that I wasn't using.
Cell phone people. Sorry. Hold on.
Yeah,
Let me get outside the range here.
But
yeah,
I'm still
I can
within
swap my AT&T
one of the
SIM card
ranges,
into 100 phones a day. And
exactly. AT&T, you could swap SIM cards from phone to phone, and it works.
Yeah, every
time. But
Verizon gives you trouble.
Sprint
gives you
well,
trouble.
the reason why Sprint and Verizon do is because they use a different type of network. They use CMDA networks versus GSM.
But it's not that controls the SIM cards. They control it on their computer systems because if you call them up, you can hear the lay sit there and type it in and it'll authorize it. And then your phone's fine. Like as soon as I got them to authorize it, I could swap my SIM card to like 3 different phones and they didn't care. But I had to get them to release it. They're just jerks about it. That's their deal.
Now I should mention I can swap my card into any phone at any time, but you still have to call AT&T to have it propagate. And what's the word I'm looking for? Propagated? I don't
Activate.
know. Well, not activated. It's already active, but you're going to see slower LTE speeds and all that kind of stuff until they link the SIM card to your device in their
because
system.
It'll
It'll work,
IMEI
but not
number,
optimal.
whatever that is different. So they're like, why is this card in this phone, not working?
Because they actually started giving a darn because they wanted to prevent you from switching phones because everybody started selling them used. Back in the day, we could swap SIM cards to any phone we wanted that was on a compatible device, and we could just go wherever we wanted and it didn't matter. But not now because they're like, oh, wait a minute, people are buying phones cheaper than they can buy it from us, and they try to screw us.
Let's make their lives difficult.
Yeah, but I have going from my 5S to my 6S because Apple wanted me to use their stupid SIM, and I just wanted to swap the SIM card over. And I didn't have Wi-Fi calling on my 6S for the first like 6 or 7 months I had it because the 5S doesn't support Wi-Fi calling, and it was still linked to my 5S's IMEI, so the 6S wouldn't activate.
Yeah.
But eventually AT&T unlocked it.
But you know what's funny about Sprint on that is that when me and my wife bought our new iPhone 8 8 Pluses straight from Apple, as soon as we got them, they activated like right away on Sprint Network, everything. It was like beautiful. It worked perfect right out of the box. So I'm thinking, yeah, there's some BS there that's going on about them trying to activate a phone like I had to do, you know. So, yeah. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next section here. We're pretty much out of topics. So the next section is news and history. So I'm going to throw this over to Steve.
Yep. So, interesting. I was looking up October, and I knew one thing, but I just did a quick search and found some more. So, October 1st, 1989 was the last revision of the Apple IIgs released. That's the 1 megabyte version with the ROM number 3, which had some little changes and updates and efficiencies. So that's a cool one. I think that's the one I have, Mike, that you played around with when you came over, the 2GS. I think it's a ROM 3 one. And then the other little piece of history is the Macintosh TV was released on October 21st, 1993. I think that was the first all-black Macintosh model. So it was basically like a lower-end LC 520 or 550, but it was all black, matching keyboard, matching mouse. Had a weird 8 megabyte RAM limit. That's terrible.
Steve, wasn't there another Mac that was like in the Australian market that was also black? That I think
that came out after. That was a Power Mac.
Was it?
That was the Director's Edition, like 5200 or 5400 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, very similar form factor, but it was a Power Mac. And the iMac slot load and DV model. This guy right here, which I'm still filming because it's very problematic. That's why I have the back open up again. This was released October 5th, 1999. So this is celebrating its 20th birthday. And what's interesting is you do hear them called slot load, and then you do hear them called DV models. And I always wondered why. It's because the lowest end model was not a DV model. It didn't have the FireWire ports on it.
Wow, yeah.
And I actually have one in my collection. I didn't even know it until I had it. So that was my grandfather's. So that explains why we got it a bit cheap.
I have 2 non-DV DVs, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I want to ask a quick question here. And there was a discussion on Discord even a few days ago. Someone said that the tray load iMac was the most reliable iMac out of all of them. No, I called BS, but I want to hear your guys' opinion on that real quick.
First off, it's a first revision, so all bets are off. Second off, any of those machines, even this one, any of them, the flyback transformer, I don't care what model you have, if it's been sitting brand new in a box for 20 years, or if it's been sitting on someone's desk being used every single day. That flyback transformer is one of the ticking time bombs in the machine.
Yep, I agree.
And at least the tray loading model had a fan inside, and people on my YouTube video like, no, it doesn't have a fan. I showed the darn fan in the video. It doesn't do much. It's right on the tray part, right below that, you see a fan. But these things get hot. Steve Jobs just like not having fans and things, but I might even mod this and put a fan just sitting above where the handle is, because it gets very, very hot even when it's all clean.
You physically see the heat rising from the back of an iMac.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, if they're kept cool and they're kept clean, and you have a good luck with your flyback transformer, they can be reliable. But I've been working on this one for weeks. Keep touting after every Mac Yak that my video will be out soon. Every time I start filming,
the lies.
It goes pop and the display goes. And I'm like, God damn it. Start over.
Steve, you know, if you need parts, all you have to do is say something. I have a parts one at work.
Yeah, I know. I will probably reach out to you if I just cleaned the CRT on this again with all the components and everything. It was very dusty. I thought I got it the first time, and then I realized by it sitting upside down, some of the dust loosened again. So I had to like take a long wooden paintbrush, and I'm just like dusting it off as I'm blowing the fan. So stay tuned. We'll see if that works out.
Coming to you in 2025.
Yeah. At this rate, we'll see.
Well, we're still waiting on the clone video too. So
don't remind me of that.
Well, speaking of videos that's supposed to be out, who hasn't put one out in a long time?
I have no clue because I put one out.
No. That's
ago.
not a that's not a
This
video.
is standing in your living room.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about content.
We're talking about content, not this is my stack of Macs that's packed up in this one room.
Yeah, I don't care what your carpet looks like, dude. Give me a Mac video.
Now I feel better.
It's something longer than 6 minutes.
It was 4.5 minutes.
Well, 6 minutes with the intro and outro.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm premiering this, guys. I'm watching a countdown for 5 minutes, and then the actual thing is shorter than the countdown. I was very disappointed.
Hey, I streamed for 4 hours straight, so even I've beat you.
I only premiered it because I had the friend that filmed the video. I showed him how I edit everything and how I upload it on Premiere. He's like, yeah, so I clicked Premiere, and that's why we had a premiere.
Yeah, but you took time to premiere it because then you actually sent the video to us to watch. So I watched it. So I'm like, why am I going to watch your premiere then?
Because I sent that to you way before I edited it.
It's the same thing. There was no editing.
At work, I would have watched it. I would have watched the premiere.
There was no.
But someone added.
Oh, you put the intro and the outro.
Hey, Grudy, they don't even know they can get the premiere on Wired. They have no idea.
And he's froze.
Someone added another piece of history.
I think he's froze.
Yeah, Steve Jobs passed away on October 5th, 2011, 8 years ago. That seems like it was long ago.
Now, I
smoke.
put that in there, and the reason why I remember that very well is because it happened on my birthday.
Yeah, it happened on Jessica's birthday. We had just became friends then.
So we can blame the both of them for Steve Jobs passing away.
No, what's funny is...
Yeah, I remember not knowing.
Holy cow, there's at least 3 Mac Yak crew members that are born in October. I'm one of the 3.
Damn.
14th, right?
All the cool ones are born in May. Just saying.
I was born in November, so...
Actually, only 2 of us were born in there, because Steve... Or you were born in
oh,
September,
that's right. It was Steve Jobs.
September.
Yeah.
So
I'm not Steve Jobs.
But anyways, talking about that Steve Jobs I mean, I was at a birthday dinner with my wife when I saw it on the news because they had a TV in there and saying it. I was like, he died? I was like, what?
Well, my mentor. I need to go.
I'm going to say he didn't lick enough of my stuff.
He owes me saliva, damn it.
Sad.
I got a text message from a friend being like, oh, they knew everyone, all my friends know I'm a big Apple dork. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. But I thought they were joking about something else. I'm like, what? Like, I must have not been reading the news. And so I'm having dinner with my family. I was over at my parents' place. And I must have went to like Mac Rumors and one of those Apple sites. And I read about it. Not 10 seconds after I read about it, there was an ad on the news on TV like, oh, coming up at whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, crap. Yeah, that was actually a thing. But I can't believe it's been that long. I mean, that's... I
had just started reading the Jobs book. Like, 2 days after he died. And I was like a chapter or 2 into it when I heard about it.
Oh, here's a pro tip for any of those of you who bought the iBook or the ebook version of that. They actually revised it. And I remember reading that they were going to revise it. They added, they added some stuff, like a whole other chapter.
I have to go download it again.
And I went back to my iBook version, and it actually updated. And it's just like, some other things that, some anecdotes and things that they added. Because I think they were originally planning to add one or two more things, but I guess for whatever reason they rushed the book out. But I remember reading an interview or seeing a video clip of an interview with the author saying that after he passed away, that they had some other content that they felt they wanted to include. So if you have purchased an electronic copy of that,
gonna have to go look at that. Yeah,
Take-
'cause I have the electronic copy. So.
I had just finished writing a paper about Steve Jobs a few days before that too.
So you killed
him. It's his fault.
Oh, stuff.
Well, he bleeds over stuff, so
Yeah, he was doing a ritual.
Yeah. All right, guys. So next up is Mike for Mike Smack Shack. So it's up to you there, Mike.
Okay, so Steve's going to help me out with this one. Steve's going to get involved. I said last week we're going to talk about pizza. Well, there's a pizza. Oh, wait, it's a pizza box. Steve actually has one of the rarest pizza box Macs right there.
Yeah, watch me drop it.
The Quadra 605, which is just a glorified piece of junk.
I was going to say, I bet you my X serve is thinner than that.
But so anybody who's into collecting computers wants something small, classic. There's a pizza box.
Start calling him Vanna White.
I did give.
I'm gonna take a screenshot.
Pictures. But this is actually better.
Oh, trust me, we're gonna meme the hell out of this.
Good.
So, anyway, 1991 they came out with the Macintosh LC. They made the LC, the LC2, the LC3, and then the Performa 400, 410, 20, 30, 40, 50, 55, 55, 56, 57, 58, 60, 61. You get the idea.
They made a heck of a lot.
So anyway, anybody looking for one of these machines, I would avoid the LC1. They were only 68020 machines. They were kind of slow. Cool from a collector standpoint, but the one nice thing is most of those had the Apple IIe card in them. If you can find the appropriate cables to go with it, the Apple IIe card I think is worth more than the computer itself. Yep. And the IIe card can actually go into other machines besides just the LC. It just seemed to be common with the LC because that's the one that went to schools. So, but as you've seen from the one that Steve was showing off there, they're very small, they're very thin, they're somewhat reliable, at least in the later models. Now, the one that Steve's showing off is actually one of the faster ones with the 68040 in it. So, but unlike the all-in-one models, you can put various monitors on these. They actually have fairly decent graphic capabilities for people who had 15-inch displays, which was huge at the time.
What year did those come out?
Started in, I believe, 91 or 92 with the LC. Okay. And the Quadra 605 that you're looking at right there on the screen, I believe, is the last of the pizza box models in this design. Now, Jay also has what could be considered a pizza box model sitting on his desk.
An extra large pizza.
The Quadra 610.
Damn it.
That's the smelly one,
630.
Right?
Yeah, this is the reason my
Also
whole
came in the
office smells like
Centris
fish.
model.
Yeah. And actually, the one that Jay's holding right there is also what we call a pizza box because of its very small, low profile. It's a Centris 630 or 610, yeah, which is just a cheapy Quadra 610.
A cheapy.
Now notice, this one has a manual inject and eject floppy disk drive.
Yeah.
Right?
Wait, it's a manual eject?
With the
it's a manual loading drive. It doesn't grab.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you have to when it, say eject for it to eject, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just like any Mac. But like the one Jay has, the slot does not have the areas for your fingers because it actually would eject it a little bit and do a little bit more work. But I think they call them auto inject drives.
Yeah.
So Jay's drive is a little bit better. The drive that shipped with this is a manual version.
But actually, believe it or not,
the LC line is my favorite. I love those pizza boxes.
Yeah, Steve, does yours work or you don't know?
This one works. I had to recap it because the speaker makes a very weird noise. So
Yes. So
But I have-
they're actually well known for having capacitor issues, and as Steve can tell you, they're also well known for having battery issues, as is evidenced by Steve's Performa 400, which is an LC2. That is, he ended up having a pretty destroyed motherboard. That Jay was, I don't know. I think Jay was able to partially resurrect it, wasn't he? Or not?
it looks prettier than it did before.
Well, I know it looks better.
I removed all the caps. I restored the solder pads for the CPU. I think I got the ROM chip connectors back, although one of them has a piece of corroded leg stuck in one of the holes, so you gotta take some tweezers and fish that out. But I think I got it back to full working order. All the traces are good, so
Wow.
took me all night, but it was fun.
That's pretty impressive considering how bad that board was. Of course, Jay's an impressive kind of guy, so.
Yeah.
But anybody looking to collect computers, DLCs are not the greatest ones to collect. They're plagued with a lot of issues, as Jay and Steve can tell you. They're great when they're running, though, especially if you get a later model like an LC3 or a high number Performa 400. And they're nice because you can put different monitors on them. But you are limited by the size. They only have a PDS slot, and it has to be a very low-profile card to go into the PDS slot. And they do not accept PowerPC upgrades that I'm aware of.
The 605 does.
Yeah, that one probably is the only one because it's technically a Quadra, although it's a crappy Quadra.
Yeah, I think Apple's 601 card was a 50 megahertz.
That's true because the Centrus that Jay has could accept that same card, and that's a piece of box too.
Daystar and Sonnet manufactured 100 megahertz versions of the PowerPC card for the Quadra 605 as well. Interesting.
Oh, so
yeah, I mean, you're probably still getting with a very slow data bus, though.
Yeah, well, actually, no, because that
33 megahertz.
The PDS slot is a direct slot to the processor, so it runs at the processor speed.
But would you be limited with the processor speed that's originally shipped with the machine, or is it?
Yeah, whatever the processor speed of the computer is, that's going to be the bus speed of the PDS slot.
Yeah. I mean, back then it wasn't as big of an issue, but
no, I mean 601s weren't exactly the fastest PC or power PC chips in the world. You know,
yeah,
they were decent, but they weren't the greatest.
It's an interesting form factor. You mentioned it's similar, but this actually has curved edges here, and the feet are a little different. So this model, yes, they use very similar of the LC, but the design aesthetics are just slightly different, you know.
Actually, the LC3 looks identical.
They were on the Performas and the Quadros. They had a different body. They were more sleek than the
I happen
LCs.
to have an
the
LC.
LCs were more boxy.
Yeah, that's the classic.
I had the best of the best LCs. I had the LC3 Plus, which is the best of the best you could get back then for LC.
So
and I love
side
it.
by
It's
side.
my favorite computer.
Looks a little thinner than the.
Bonus of those, they don't take up much space.
No, they don't. That's the one plus side.
Has anyone ever made a rack mount for those things?
I have enough to make a rack of them, but
Yeah, he does.
be
He's got a
cool.
whole shelf full of them.
Make a
right
cluster
over there.
node of LCs, right?
But the Quadra 605 that Steve has is actually one of the only Macs in the world I've never actually seen, touched, or worked on in my life because they are one of the more rare models.
You probably saw it on my shelf, but didn't even realize it was there when you were over.
I thought it was an LC3.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a Quadra 605. The only difference is the Quadra 605 has a full 68040 in it, I believe. And the LC just had the 68 LC040. Other than that, they look fairly similar.
Maybe I
That
got
would be correct from my knowledge.
I got this mixed up, but I think the processor in here is a 68 LC040.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, for all I know,
Yeah.
swap the board in it, but
Yeah, upgrading that's easy. Pop the chip off, pop a new one on, you're done.
yeah, it
From-
has a socket. So
From what Well, hold on. From what I recall, the Quadra 605 had the full-blown like 040 that had the FPU built in.
That's what I
The
thought, too.
LC3 Plus model was the faster variant of the LC3. Instead of having 25 megahertz, it was 33. And the bonus of the Plus and the LC3 is you could actually add in an aftermarket FPU. It had a placement slot for it, like not slot, it was like a little chip mount, and you could actually plug in a FPU unit. So
Yeah,
and you
this
can
one
make
doesn't
it
have a
basically
slot
equivalent to the
mix,
605.
Steve doesn't want
But
to
you
show
couldn't
us how
put an
fast
040
the
in it.
computer looks.
It smells.
So
Yeah. Well,
But my fondest memory, the reason I chose an LC is the very first Macintosh I ever used was an LC. So,
I think a lot of people in my age range grew up having these or similar LC machines in schools because in the early 90s, these were the low-cost machines that Apple sold, and a lot of the schools picked them up. Yep, exactly.
well, yeah, Apple was basically force-feeding the original LCs to schools because
Well, that and
they were
the
trying to
475s and the 575s.
Yeah, well, the original LCs, they were
Which had
basically
the built-in
force-feeding
monitors.
those to schools because they wanted to do away with the Apple II since the Apple II was discontinued in 1991. They were trying to push the LC to replace the Apple II. That's why a lot of them have Apple IIe cards.
Yeah,
so the schools
they made that just for that market. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was originally designed just for the LC. It works on anything with the PDS slot, or it works on anything with a low-profile PDS slot. So, but that's why, like, a lot of the LCs you find even in the wild, even today, they still have the Apple II cards, and people just don't know what they are. So, and if you want to know about the 8-bit card, the Apple IIe card, the 8-bit card, did one a couple weeks ago on his LC. I think he has an LC2 with one.
Here's an LC3 that looks very similar, has the same type of a floppy drive. I think this is an LC3 Plus. That's what they call this model. And I think it has a slightly different processor. This one still has an Old Bridge, New Jersey public school sticker on it. It's a little bit worse for wear, but I believe it does work. So
does that have
the 040 LC in it?
Let's take a look at the processor. Yeah, so this has a spot for the FPU here.
Yep.
So that's what this empty spot
both
is.
LC3 models had that. The only difference between the Plus and the regular is
but
regular had a 25, the Plus had a 33.
This is a
68030.
Yeah, this is a 33 MC68030 FE33B.
Yeah, then that one's the Plus
33.
model.
Yep. Another one I got to recap.
I love that model.
That's
my
number
favorite
85.
model.
Yep. Yeah, well, he's got
You can
about
always send
1,000
it to me. I'll recap it. I promise I won't return it.
He'll take it as payment for recapping.
Your wife will be happy. Oh, there you go.
So if you guys used an LC when you were in school, you're getting old.
Dude, I used an Apple II when I was in school, so I'm older.
I used the TRS-80 model.
My elementary school had a lab full of the LC or LC2s or whatever they were, and then my middle school had Apple IIs because they were so cheap that the library still had a handful of Apple IIs, and the rest of the school had gateway machines.
When I was in kindergarten,
Wow.
my grade school still had a whole computer lab full of Apple IIes.
If it ain't broke.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
All right, so let's go ahead and transition this over to Steve for his archive adventures.
So a little bit of a different thing here. Not something I archived, but something I've been tinkering around with. And you saw me on Instagram. You probably saw this thing. But essentially, I built a little ADB to USB adapter. So this takes an ADB connection from an old Apple keyboard or a mouse. And you have a USB mini port here. and that plugs into a USB port. And so I could use any old Apple ADB device, like this beautiful Apple Desktop Bus keyboard and this little mouse, and I could just plug that in to this little adapter. And I'll explain what this adapter is. I'm not a genius. I didn't create it. I just followed instructions. So this is a Teenzy, Tennnsy 2.0 USB microcontroller. And so you can see it has a USB mini port on this end, and has a bunch of pinouts and whatever. So you basically can dump a program onto here. That's what I did. And then you wire it up a certain way so that you have your 3 pins coming out of here. You ignore the power switch because you don't have to worry about that on this. And you have a little resistor and some wire, and that's basically it. So you can customize and compile your own keyboard mapping rather. I just downloaded the standard one, which worked for me. But I actually bought this. I looked at my purchase history. I bought this little Teenzy board in 2017 to try and do this project. And for years, I couldn't get it to work. Well, stupid me. I soldered the wires onto the connectors that held the S-video socket, in this case, onto the board. Because I clipped this off of an old VCR that was broken, or a DVD player or whatever it was. And I finally got my multimeter. I did the pinout, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. I was soldering it to the wrong thing this whole time. So never hurts to double check your work, ladies and gentlemen. So
only took you a year to find it out, 2 years to find it out, right?
More than that, yeah. So the board runs around $20 or so. Apparently you get knockoff boards that do about the same thing. However, the pinout on them is sometimes a little different. So if you're trying to cheap out there, yeah, that's a little bit of something to note. But this sure beats the Griffin i8, which sells for like over $100 on eBay, and that doesn't support things simultaneously.
On eBay.
What'd you say?
I've seen a few of them for like cheaper.
Yeah, but the Griffin i8 has some limitations apparently. Then there's other things like the Wombat and other things that do different things. Yeah, I mean, this is not like the best solution, but I got it working. I was pretty satisfied with it. And I'm going to probably build a little case for it. I was talking on Twitter, if I have a broken local talk adapter, I could shove it in that box or something like that. I don't know. But what's nice is these boards are so small that people will actually take like the Apple II extended keyboard, and they'll actually put this board inside of that keyboard. And so you just plug a USB cord right into it, and you have your old classic Mac keyboard plugged into your modern computer. So.
Now how does it?
Yeah.
How well does it work?
It actually surprisingly well, honestly. I had a keyboard and a mouse plugged into my Mac Pro, no lag at all. Seemed pretty responsive. Now, the guy who's a genius who figured out this whole thing and wrote the software for it, apparently there's been many, many updates to this. So over the years as people tested keyboards and stuff, he's updated the software and the latency issues or whatever you may have had in the past. So I'm going to make a blog post about it soon because I don't have all the links handy. But when I do that, I'll be sure to share it.
When you plug this into your Mac Pro, does the Mac Pro identify the keyboard, or does the setup pop up?
It identifies the adapter as an ADB to USB adapter, and it does pop up that keyboard of like, hey, I don't know what this is.
Right.
And you do like the Z and the Z or the Shift or whatever. It did that once, and then I plugged in a different keyboard and it didn't do it. So I think the mapping of what you flash onto here is pretty important because it just sort of accepts that as what it is. But it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is.
Indeed. I want to see the finished product, but it's probably going to take another 2 years.
If anybody has, I don't want to cannibalize local talk cable I have. If anyone has any broken junk, maybe I'll just find something else to shove this in. I don't know.
Local talk boxes? How many do you want?
Can we make a long distance network to your house, Mike?
We could run a phone network all the way to here, all the way here.
Probably might work too.
We'd have a bunch of freaking antique computers in the middle. What the hell?
I love this idea.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead.
I vote for it.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go to our next topic here.
Before you do, though, I have to go. I have somewhere to
No,
be. So I will see you all next
no.
week.
Hey, I'm
See you
here
later,
at
Jay.
8 o'clock at night.
Yes.
See you later, Jay.
Huh?
All right, so the next one is it's an interesting one because Mike, you actually gave me the link to this one that you got from Ken, Crazy Ken. Let me go ahead and pop the link in here real quick so you guys can see it. But this is one of those what were they smoking things, and this one is just crazy. This guy wants for an Apple Power Mac 9600/350, new condition, rare vintage bundle, must see. Okay. Yeah. But it ain't $5,300, Prinny. Yeah, there you go. You know, that's ridiculous. Now, I was reading through the comments. Yeah, I was reading through the description here, and he's only booted this machine for testing purposes, but it has never been used beyond that. So apparently, he purchased this thing as I guess it was a excess to this company had, you know. So wait, yep, I know why. There we go. All right, so everybody should be able to hear. Okay, the reason why you can only hear me and not everybody else because when Jay left, he was the one that actually I was using for the stream audio. Yes, the audio was funneled through Jay, so that's the reason why. I forgot to change it to somebody else here.
Okay, so as I was saying, it's very beautiful and gorgeous, but
$5,300 gorgeous.
Yeah, take a few digits off of that. I'll pay about $53 for it.
I don't even know if I'd pay 53 for it. To be honest with you, I would have no use except for it to sit on a shelf. I mean,
oh, with the box, if a machine like that box, I have no problem paying $50 for it. Just
do you
for,
really think that
having all
box
the
is going to
booklets and stuff
survive?
with it. I think that's kind of cool. Oh no, well, I'm talking a fantasy here. If it was at a thrift store and it was that up.
Yeah. But I mean, he's got all
I'd pay
kind of
50 for it.
Apple software and stuff. He's throwing in there, but I mean, a lot of stuff you get on Mac.
It is really clean.
Well,
Yeah, it's just one of those things where the guy has a bunch of accessories and he thinks that this is like a Mac Pro. And like honestly, I'd be surprised if he got a few $100 for it.
Oh, he's including
Well,
Oregon Trail.
probably in 10 years it'll be worth a lot.
Oregon
He's
Trail,
including
and Oregon
Oregon
Trail 2. It's some of the games he's.
The cap's got to be replaced. So I've been burned before. No, thank you.
Probably needs to replace that or take the battery out too. I mean, he does have an inside picture, but
Oh God,
I don't think it's.
I'm surprised it has 9 and 8.5 with it.
it comes with an SSD upgrade kit.
yeah. And if you read about it, it's actually a compact flash card. So no, thank you.
But if you look at it, only 2 of the memory slots are filled. Yeah.
Looks like it comes with a Radeon 7000.
You're just building it up so you could buy it, aren't you?
No, I still can buy
No,
it for that
there's
price,
no way I
but
would buy it for that price. And he doesn't even have he's got to buy it now, but he doesn't have best offer button. So he's not wanting to take any other offers. He's wanting $53.25 for that thing.
He thinks it's worth
That
it.
guy's
It's not.
crazy. But thanks
It's not
to
a rare model.
But thanks to Mike there for pointing this out to me, because he saw it from, I guess, Crazy Ken put it in
I'm
one of
going to
our.
say you should thank Ken for it, not me.
Yeah.
I just have to be the middleman.
Yeah, but you're on here. Crazy Ken's not. So, but yeah, it was he found that, and so we got to thank him also for that find. But that was crazy. So the question is, what was this guy smoking?
That box burnt.
No, I think he's smoking the cap juice.
Yeah, there you go. A
Well,
fishy cat
inside
juice.
of the box there was some cookies, and he ate some of those cookies.
30-year-old cookies.
It's like,
Grandma's homemade cookies,
Well,
you
isn't that
know.
like
That's
you
good
think it
stuff,
never
bro.
goes bad, you know?
Oh God.
maybe he doesn't include a mouse pad, so maybe
Yeah.
he ate the mouse pad, and that's what sent him on this weird journey.
Probably. Who
There
knows?
you go. Why doesn't it come with? That's not an Apple keyboard.
Hey,
I just
keep
noticed that.
going. Ken.
We're talking about the 9600.
Yeah, we're
But that's
talking.
not an Apple keyboard on that picture. Did you notice that?
What's
Yeah,
that?
It's a
Mac
knockoff.
Yeah, but yeah,
But yeah, Ken, we were just thanking you for that. You must have heard your ears must have been burning or something there. That's why he just now joined. But anyways, that guy was smoking, I think, cap juice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Probably
but
from
that's
that
I'd agree with that.
computer,
that's
maybe
probably
that's
what he
why
was
Jay left
smoking.
early.
So, all right, guys. So we're pretty much almost done here. So we're going to go ahead with the selfless promotion, shameless self-promotion. So we already know Grudy has a new room set up because his 6-minute video, which wasn't really a video with no content. So, Grudy, what do you got? What do you got that's coming up on the burner here?
Wow.
Well, I'm actually going to finally film that Mojave upgrade video, even though now Catalina's coming out. It's kind of pointless. But I'm going to be doing that for
I'll
that
still watch it.
11 iMac. And I've got literally a stack of Macs.
And he froze again.
Stack of Macs.
Stack of backs.
Wait
Come
for it.
on.
He'll come back.
Stack of backs.
I have a stack of Macs.
Come back
Okay.
to us, Grudy.
There's
Let's
All
hear
right,
a stack
Steve,
of
we'll go to
Macs.
you.
Steve has
Steve, what do you
several
got
stacks
coming
of
up on
Macs.
your channel? Besides the back. Besides
I'm
that
still, I'm still hacking away at this thing. I have 3 episodes written about this iMac, another iMac in the box here, and the iMac over there. If they would cooperate, this would be awesome. But I got sick, and then these things just started not cooperating.
Steve's
So,
probably going to make a video calling me everything but a white man with that lime green iPad.
no.
Since I don't know, I never had a problem with the machine.
It was just that it overheated, and it's cleaned up. It's working a lot better now. Wait for the video, and we'll
Yep.
explain why.
Rocky.
But yeah, I'm still working on that.
Am I
Does that have to
back
do with
yet?
Yes,
cat
you're
hair?
back. Yes.
I'm back. I was on
I-
a stack
yes.
of Mac, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have literally a stack of Mac and Mac parts that I need to film, plus a few Mac Pro videos that will be coming soon, plus all the Mac Oddware stuff. I have it all piled up and ready to be filmed. I need a studio to film it in.
Well, you have a studio. What's taking so
Why?
long?
I'm over
Well,
here.
get your studio
Yeah, but
display.
it's empty. There's nothing in it, and it echoes really bad.
What are you doing all day?
That was my basement.
Watching
Huh?
mostly. Watching comics.
Watching dogs.
I can watch and
Can we
dog
switch
paint,
places?
I
right,
wish
too.
I could switch places.
Yeah,
Man.
God, dude.
Take a drive over here. I'll keep you busy.
How about you,
Yeah.
Rocky? What you got coming
4
up?
days and 40 hours. A lot of work, probably streaming when I can. I don't have an official video coming up anytime soon. I might actually, you know what? I just might take advantage of the fact that I have my works. One Mac in the entire company, and it happens to be a 2009 17-inch MacBook Pro. I might actually do a video on that. The adventures of putting Mojave on it for kicks and giggles. But we'll see. I don't know.
All right, and Mike.
I ain't promising crap because every time I say I'm going to do something, it never happens.
Oh.
Last weekend was screwed up. The weekend before that was screwed up. So my intention this week, which they probably won't, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'd really like to film the second part of my PowerBook G4 upgrade since it's been sitting in pieces on my workbench for almost a month now.
Well, for me, the only thing I got coming up is you'll probably catch me on my Twitch channel streaming iRacing, of course. Been doing that a lot lately.
Watch him go around in circles.
No, I do right and left hand turns as well sometimes.
Right-hand turns on a racetrack isn't cool unless you're doing road racing.
That's what I do. I do road racing.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm talking about.
I would say when I worked at the racetrack, people who did right turns were definitely not good.
Well, that's on ovals, yeah. Unless you're running it clockwise. Then
No,
right
we
turns.
weren't.
Yeah, then right turns are the norm. You don't want to be doing left turns. So, all right, guys. So that's about it for tonight. So we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. But make sure you join our Discord. Some of us usually hang out afterwards, after the show. We do have a channel for that. You can actually talk to us on Discord. Make sure you like and subscribe, both YouTube and Facebook.
And post memes into the memes group for the show.
Our memes channel now on Discord. So I think
Yeah.
there's already a few there on Grudy. So
It's
yeah.
wonderful.
Well,
Just wonderful.
you're just like a meme magnet there, Grudy. So.
Hey.
It's meant with
Yes,
all the
it
love
is.
in the world.
Check out the description, info, and links below. Spread the word and tell your friends. We're up to 340 subs now, so let's keep it going, guys. We're trying to get up there, so keep it going. Spread the word around. Let folks know. Ken, if you're in there, get some of your subs to come over to us. So
Yeah, that easy.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, he's here. I'm just trying to do some shameless self promotion here, you know.
There you go.
So make sure you
Stay
tell
on
your
top of that,
friends, and make sure that you come back and see us. You know, we're always here. Try to be here every Thursday. We won't be.
Follow on Twitter.
Yes, follow us on Twitter. Pretty soon, the next few weeks, Jay will probably be doing the streaming because I will be in the process of moving in November. So you probably will not see me for a few weeks. We will not have a show on the 31st of October, being that it's Halloween. I know some of the people.
We should have a show. That's my favorite day of the year.
Because I won't be able to broadcast it, and Jay will be doing the candy thing with the kids. So.
Well, yeah.
So,
I mean, you know,
there you
it's
go.
kind of important.
All right, guys. So that's it. So we'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
All right, guys.